Namaste, Jai Bharat. Russia-Ukraine war had been going on for no special reasons, and in spite of the boisterous claims of President Trump, nothing really happened. He was declared that he will end the conflict in no time, and the time had been going forward without listening to Trump. Now look at the situation in which Ukraine themselves find. Let's see, they began the whole thing at the instance of US, undoubtedly, which people know, and the EU and the US had been supporting them, supplying with the arms, and things were going on. Fight was going on. As a matter of fact, Russia, if they had been harsh, they could have ended this war in a miserable way, which they did not. I think that's called responsibility. They did not. With all those things, Ukraine still is in a miserable situation because of late US stopped giving the kind of supply which they wanted, and slowly things appear quite different for Ukraine. I'm speaking for Ukraine. US doesn't mind if Russia keeps the property which Russia had already taken from Ukraine instead of giving it back to them. So that way they are trying to end the conflict, saying that you keep whatever you have already possessed, and with a different eye, US, all the mineral rich area I want. Now this is a situation in which Zelensky finds himself in, which is not a happy situation for him. All these things, there is untold suffering of the people of Ukraine. At whose fancy, at whose instance? The only point which came to surface is that Ukraine was joining NATO, which of course is against Russia's interest. They have their geopolitical reasons, whatever. This thing could have been discussed and sold in a much different manner than what they have gone to. This is a brutal way, very barbaric way of settling things. And look at the people who happen to live in this period, just so many years, maybe if 2 years, 3 years, whatever is a short period, the people, those who live in this condition, in this situation, and what kind of sufferings they normally endure is untold and rather unthinkable. See, you sit in your room and speak about all those things. Those who are out really in the field and suffering, their sufferings can't be fathomed. You wouldn't understand. It's all because of the folly. And the Ukraine, some now find themselves let alone. No one's really taking care of them because each one who comes to them wants to enhance their interest, further their interest. Somebody wants to keep the property, of course, which they have fought and took, and someone has eye on the minerals, etc. All these kinds of behind the curtain stories are going on with Ukraine. Just think of the people. Just think of the people of Ukraine, and just think of the leader Zelensky, who played into the hands of US and others, thinking that they're going to stand by them like stone, and these people don't stand by anyone. They have no unconditional support. No one gives. Everyone looks after their own interest, and no one is transparent. This is what we find in geopolitics. And America, of all people in the world, they, especially with Trump, they just understand one language, and that's the language of trade. And no, Trump is somehow convinced that instead of war, trades can substitute the effect of war, and he will go for this. Then he gets into this headlong. Falls into headlong. He jumps headlong into the question of tariffs and trade and this thing, that thing, under the impression that through trade things can be solved. He believes it's an innovation, but then he doesn't understand that all of us are now traders. Like him, he must have been a very good trader, must have been big success, but that doesn't mean that he can extend such success to geopolitics. That's a fundamental mistake which Trump does. Ukraine is just an instance, and he keeps doing such mistakes widely without really realizing the consequences, impending consequences, unpleasantness which he creates, and he might be able to forget it just like that, but others may not be able to forget things just like that. The situation is not very good. Ukraine, in any case, has had it in the sense that they were taken for a ride, primarily by the US, taken for a ride, and left alone, and let alone. This is the situation that's going to be, in spite of whatever talks that might go on. Russia will look after their interests, and US wants that minerals and that kind of area under their control. Of course, he would not take the place. He would want trade. There will be some trade agreement. That's the only thing which Trump understands. I think it was Dostoevsky who said one should not trade in love. One cannot trade in love. So I would extend it as one should not trade in love. And this relation should have a predominantly substructure of understanding love and affection between people, at the same time between nations. We shall meet again. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Sri Ram.